Hey everyone, Linus here. Remember the NVIDIA RTX 5070 Ti launch? Yeah, not exactly NVIDIA's smoothest. This card promised a solid mid-range option for gamers. It had some big shoes to fill following the RTX 40 series. But instead of a triumphant arrival, we got confusion and frustration. The hype was real, don't get me wrong. People were ready for an upgrade, especially with all the new games pushing graphical boundaries. We were all eager to see benchmarks, to compare it to the previous generation, to see if it lived up to the hype. But the launch itself? Let's just say it left a lot to be desired. Instead of clear information and readily available cards, we got a whole lot of nothing. Retailers had empty shelves, online stores crashed. It felt like the early days of the pandemic all over again, with everyone scrambling for toilet paper, except this time, it was GPUs. Not exactly the launch gamers were hoping for. One of the biggest issues with the 5070 Ti launch was the pricing. NVIDIA set the MSRP at $749, which, on paper, wasn't terrible for the performance it promised. But here's the kicker: no Founders Edition cards. That's right, NVIDIA decided not to produce their own version of the card this time around. Now you might be wondering, what's the big deal with that? Well, Founders Edition cards usually offer a baseline for pricing and availability. Without them, the market was left wide open for third-party manufacturers to set their own prices. And boy, did they ever. We saw cards listed for $900, $1,000, even more in some cases. The 5070 Ti was suddenly competing with the higher-end cards in terms of price, but without the same level of performance. It was a classic case of supply and demand, except the supply was artificially limited and the demand was through the roof. Gamers were left with a difficult choice: pay exorbitant prices or wait it out and hope for the best. So, with the 5070 Ti launch being a bit of a mess, where does that leave gamers? Well, there's always AMD. Their Radeon RX 9000 series has been making waves, offering some stiff competition to NVIDIA's lineup. The RX 9070 XT in particular is a card many are looking at as a potential alternative to the 5070 Ti. Performance-wise, it's a close call. The 5070 Ti might have a slight edge in some titles, but the 9070 XT is no slouch. And here's the kicker: AMD's FSR 3.1 technology. This upscaling tech is getting better with every iteration, and it's giving NVIDIA's DLSS 4 a run for its money. FSR 3.1 can boost frame rates without sacrificing too much image quality, making it a game changer, especially for gamers who don't have the latest and greatest hardware. Plus, AMD cards are generally more readily available and priced more competitively. So yeah, if you're looking for a new GPU and don't want to deal with the 5070 Ti's drama, the RX 9000 series is definitely worth considering. Section 4, Intel Arc GPUs, the budget alternative. Now, not everyone has $1,000 or more to drop on a graphics card. That's where Intel Arc comes in. Yeah, you heard that right. Intel is making GPUs now, and they're not half bad. The Arc A750 and the newer B580, priced at a very reasonable $249, offer a solid budget option for gamers who aren't chasing the highest frame rates. Sure, they're not going to compete with the 5070 Ti or the RX 9000 series in terms of raw performance, but they're more than capable of running most modern games at respectable settings. Plus, with Intel's track record of innovation, it's only a matter of time before they start challenging the big boys in the high-end market. Rumors are already swirling about their upcoming C-Series Celestial cards, based on the Xe3P architecture, which are said to target the enthusiast market. So, even if you're on a tight budget, there are still some great GPU options out there. Don't let the 5070 Ti's launch woes get you down. Section 5, the GPU landscape. What's next for gamers? The GPU market is a wild ride, am I right? Just when you think you've got a handle on things, a launch like the 5070 Ti comes along and throws everything into chaos. But hey, that's tech for you. Always evolving, always keeping us on our toes. The good news is, gamers have more options than ever before. Whether you're rocking a high-end rig or a budget build, there's a GPU out there for you. The 5070 Ti might not have been the hero we deserved, but with AMD Radeon, Intel Arc, and even NVIDIA's own RTX 40 series, there's no shortage of choices. So do your research, compare prices, and most importantly, don't panic. The perfect GPU is out there waiting for you to game on.